What do you think the future looks like? I mean that like very directly, like literally pause this video, comment below. What do you think the future looks like? Because I think it's really interesting how if you look back to the 60s, right? 1960s, they had retrofuturism, right? And it, very interesting kind of look. I mean, we just had a new movie come out from it. It is a very optimistic view of what the future looks like. There's no like date and time on it, but it's obviously a very dated look, right? Isn't that interesting how an old vision of the future is now dated? I think that's a really weird thing that happens. I think it's even weirder how if you look at every single time period, there is a distinct look and feel that they expect the future to have. Except today. I don't think we have one today. Many people will say, oh, it's cyberpunk. Like it's a cyberpunk dystopia kind of thing. I gotta say it, guys, I think that's the 90s. I think the 90s did cyberpunk, and I think we've just inherited it. I think maybe there's more cyberpunk media than retrofuturist media, I'll hand you that one, but I don't think that cyberpunk is the look and feel today. I don't think we have a look and feel that we expect the future to look like anymore. And I think maybe this means, I think it could genuinely mean something. I mean, listen, there's always just, I think that the 60s have retrofuturism, the 80s kind of have like a very like synth-heavy, like a metallic look that they thought the future would have. The 90s, I'm saying, had cyberpunk. 2000s, still a little bit, they were doing cyberpunk, right? So, I mean, there's definitely an angle you could take that this means nothing and that we just happen to not have one. Maybe in 5 years, a seminal movie will come out that gives us our view of the future. But I do think that by looking at what a society thinks the future will look like, you could extrapolate something from it. And I think the idea that we don't have an idea of what the future looks like today is interesting. I was recently, the reason I think it's interesting too is because I was recently having a conversation with somebody who's older, right? And they were asking me, what do you think, like, your future will look like? Like, imagine it. Like, what do you think do you think, like, you'll have, like, a flying car? Like, they were saying, like, when I was a kid, I imagined so much. I imagined, that, like, maybe we'd have flying cars. I imagine like they were talking about those Waymo things, the driverless cars. Which, by the way, I'll never go on one of those again. I hated that thing. I went in one. We'll never do it again. They were talking about those though, and they were like, yeah, I never thought that would be able to happen. Like that's the future, And they were asking me, what do I think the future's gonna look like? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have a perception of what I think the future. I don't have a take on that. I just don't have an opinion. And then I asked a lot more people my age. I was asking some friends of mine. I was like, what do you think the future's gonna look like? What do you imagine it as? And the usual, I mean, like, there should be answers here, right? We don't have all the technology ever. Like, I was expecting somebody to say teleportation, holograms. I could see holograms maybe. Yeah, holograms don't seem too far-fetched. Time travel. Why does nobody have nobody talked about any thoughts? This could be a bubble moment. Maybe you guys have a ton of thoughts what the future looks like. Maybe all your friends have thoughts what the future's gonna look like. Maybe this is just me and who I'm talking to. But I can't help but think it's indicative of something. I have two major ideas here on what I think it could be indicative of. First of all, I think in line with like the idea of retrofuturism, then what I'm gonna refer to as metallic futurism, that I associate a lot of more 80s projects with, than cyberpunk. Like, it's looking at all three of these. I mean, they have, if you guys ever want a goth, if you ever want like a good old time, search up what the 1920s thought the 2020s would look like. They had ideas that people would have like water shoes and, like looking at all these different predictions, if you will, I don't think it's far-fetched that we, are just like more aware. If you're in the 1960s thinking of retrofuturism, it's not like, unless you go to a library and like really research it, you're not going to be able to find out what the 1920s thought the future would look like. If you're in the 80s, maybe you'll probably still be familiar with retrofuturism in the 80s. But the point is, like, maybe since we have it all in front of us so rapidly now, we're so aware that all these other visions exist, right? So we could look at it like this. Maybe people have what I'll refer to as futurist religions, right? Everybody just selected a way that it'll look, right? Because I think if you asked anybody, what do you think the future is going to look like? Maybe they don't have a direct answer, maybe they don't have a unique imagination, but I think if you ask somebody, do you think the future will lean cyberpunk, retrofuturist, or, you know, what the 1920s, how the future would look like, or the 1980s, I think then they'll give you an answer. I think then you'll definitely get an answer from almost everyone. I'm willing to bet, and I can't see the comments because I'm still recording and this hasn't been uploaded and it won't be for 2 days, but I'm willing to bet that a lot of your guys' comments about what you think the future will look like is based on one of those pre-existing visions, right? I think it'll be cyberpunk. I think it'll be retrofuturistic, you know? There's a lot of different schools of thought that we're all very aware of, so maybe we've just all chosen one. On the other hand, I think you could go the other way with us being aware of these different schools of thought and say, well, we're all very aware of these schools of thought that haven't come true, so maybe what's happened is that we've realized that you can't predict what the future looks like, and on some implicit level, the idea of coming up with a new sort of, you know, vision of the future is just kind of not going to happen, because we're already like, no vision's going to be right, you know? Maybe it's something like that. I don't like that theory, because I just think people would still imagine otherwise, you know? Like, nobody, when people write, like, whoa, gotta take a breath here. No, but when people write, you know, crazy fiction stories, when Jack Kirby wrote Fantastic Four, our famous retrofuturist thing at this point because of this new movie, it's not like he was like, one day there will be a man with stretchy arms and a man made of rock. No, he just imagined something in his head. I think we would still probably be imagining something, right? I don't know, maybe imagining the future is a little bit more of a tall order than imagining any old, you know, sci-fi series. But, you know, maybe that's it. I don't love that answer, though. I think that there's the other answer on the other side of things that is, maybe we just don't have time to think of a future. I mean, this is something that I don't think this is true, because it just seems like such a simple and stupid explanation, right? But, I mean, look, we don't have, because of social media and all these things, people aren't really coming up with new stuff. I mean, I'm not the first person to, and actually I should say this isn't just because of social media. Let's change the framing of this second option here. Let's say that it's not just because of people not having time, but it's more of this is a systemic issue, right? With our culture as a whole, not coming up with new visions of what the future is going to look like, or not coming up with new visions for anything, right? The tired, played out point that I've even indulged in on this show, that, you know, oh, we're on our 20th reboot of, you know, Jumanji, or something like that, right? I mean, that's not an impossible answer, right? If we're not coming up with new stuff as a whole for culture, why would we come up with a new vision of the future? I don't think this is the worst answer. I think this kind of makes some sense, but I'm still not satisfied with it, you know? Because even if we want to say that's the answer, everybody's still yet to give me a satisfying answer on why they think that we're not coming up with new stuff as a culture anymore. I'm still yet to get a good answer on that by anybody. So, hey, maybe one of you has a good answer for me on that. I don't foresee one coming, because I think it's something that we're not going to know maybe for a while, or maybe there is no direct answer to it. I don't know, but I haven't gotten an answer to that, and I'm not satisfied making it the answer to this for exactly that reason, because I think it's a non-answer, you know, like to ask a question and go, I think the answer is because it's part of a larger issue that we'll have no answer to ever, or don't have an answer, and I think that's a non-answer, right? Another take I've heard that I think we should at least mention here, even though I'm not going to give much credence, is that, like, because of current prospects for the way the world's going, maybe people aren't optimistic enough to have a vision for what the future is going to look like. Here's my thing on that. Could be true. Honestly, I'll go as far as saying I think it's the most reasonable out of all the answers here, right? I just think it's so nihilistic that I'm really not interested in like going down that route. Like, I'm not interested in entertaining that, because one, if that is the answer, relatively simple thing to say, right? And then you have your answer there. I don't think we need to discuss it. Two, is there worth in that? Even if that is the answer, is there worth in moving like that? Maybe you can't take me seriously right now because I'm pretty sure I have black paint all over my face, but I don't know. This is the painting. I actually tried to, and I want to do this a little bit more, definitely next year. It's just been tough to this year. because I'm incompetent as a person, I want to kind of make the painting in line with today's topic. So this is about a blurred, distorted, grimy vision for humanity, because I don't think we have a vision for ourselves at this point. Gonna go wash this paint off now. Until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. That's me, not you. My name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 343. I'm here every morning painting and talking with you all.